Welcome back everyone to Stockpot 3 video number 6. This is my camera tripod. I put the camera facing this way because if I have this in the back with the camera facing the other way, this thing will poke me in the chest and prevent me from getting at the work cleanly. So I turn it around and point this at the work. But then there's a problem because this will interfere and could contact the ledge of the fume hood or some of the work. So what I'm going to do, I've been meaning to do this for ages, and I'm just going to cut this off so that I can work without having this thing interfere. All right, there we go. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Sometimes the solutions to life's problems are so simple that we just can't see them. Someone had asked about how I do the dishes. This is the detergent that I use. It's made specifically for glassware. I've got a little bit of it in this shaker. And so what we do is all the glassware has already been rinsed into my stock pot. So there's not going to be anything toxic in any of these pieces. And so I rinse it out with tap water real well. And then just take a regular old bottle brush and swab it around in there real good. Then I use another container here or another soap pad. Just scrub it off real good. And then rinse it with tap water. Get all that soap off. And I just set it over here out of the way. You've seen me write with a marking pen on my glassware. I hate to write on this thing because it doesn't come off. It's there forever. So what I do is I just use a marker right on the glass, and then it doesn't like to come off too well with the soapy water. So what I do is I've got a little bit of carburetor spray, spray some on a piece of paper, and it'll wipe right off and does not leave a residue on our piece of glass. Having clean glassware to do our refining projects is essential. If we leave some residue on there from a previous refining, we could risk cross-contaminating our metal. Here I give it a quick rinse with distilled water, and then we put it down into our dishwasher rack and let it air dry. Now let's go refine some palladium. Here's our palladium in solution. And what we're going to do to kick this off is I've got a filter rig set up here. We're going to filter the palladium solution one more time just to make sure we got all the solids out of there. Looking at the bottom of the flask, we've got no precipitate, no solids at all. So we're good for the next step here to get this palladium. I'm going to rinse with a little bit of hydrochloric acid. Now we're going to get our filtered palladium solution out of here and get it ready to bubble some chlorine gas through here to form our ammonia soluble brick red palladium salt. I've saved the ammonium chloride solution here, and we need that for this next reaction. There should be enough already in here because we added an excess when we precipitated the platinum. We need this palladium solution infused with our ammonium chloride for this reaction to work. got our chlorine gas generator set up here. Let's see if we can start dripping a little bit of our hydrochloric acid down into our gas generator. And here we go. We're bubbling the gas into our palladium solution. It should react fairly quickly. I could have just added some sodium chlorate directly to the solution down here, but bubbling the gas makes a much cleaner precipitate. We've been bubbling for about 5 minutes now, and I just realized I should have got a stannous test before we started this so we could do a comparison. This is the solution that we're bubbling the chlorine gas through. I'm going to reach down in here, get a little bit of it on a piece of filter paper, and let's check with stannous chloride so that we can get a comparison after we do this test. And that's what our solution looks like with a stannous test before we bubble the chlorine gas. The chlorine gas has stopped flowing. I think we've expended all our TCA. I think the reaction's done. I'm going to cut off the acid flow to the gas generator, and now we'll bring our tube out of here, get it out of the way, and now we'll just let our precipitate sit here and settle out a little while, and then we'll do some more testing on it and go from here. I've allowed the ammonia soluble precipitate to settle a little bit. I do not like the color of the solution sitting on top of it, so I'm going to get a quick stannous test here. And it's not looking too bad. Well, yeah, we're getting a little bit of a dark stain there. As I stated earlier, ammonium chloride is essential for this reaction. That's why I saved the ammonium chloride for the previous reaction. I'm going to add a little bit more of the ammonium chloride solution. Here's that last stannous test. So what I think I'm going to do is set up and sparge the solution with a little bit more chlorine. I'm going to add the rest of the ammonium chloride solution. I like the color of this solution much better. You can see it's you can see through it, and it's not real red like it was earlier. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to set up a filter flask, and we're going to filter that precipitate out of the beaker. Now I've got this set up with one of my specially prepared filters so that we can capture 100% of the precipitate. The solution that we filtered off has turned a darker color. It's got a little bit of a red tint to it now. I did not think that this precipitate was soluble in water. I was going to try to rinse it off, but I don't know if I should do that now or not. If you look, those drops are coming out of there red. So I'm going to hold off on rinsing this. I didn't think this palladium salt was soluble in water, but it must be because I've put a little bit of it into solution in our flask down here. I'm adding a stir bar to a clean beaker over here. And now we're going to transfer our palladium salt into this beaker. Here's a look at our ammonia soluble brick red palladium precipitate. We're going to add this now to our beaker over here. I'll add this solution to my stock pot, and for right now what we're going to do is dissolve our precipitate in some 10% ammonia. I'm just going to pour it right on in. Maybe about 250 milliliters or so. I'm going to turn the stir bar on and try to dissolve that precipitate in ammonia. I've got the precipitate to dissolve in the ammonia. Now we're going to filter it and get all the solids out of there. All right, let's filter our palladium solution here. I'm guessing we're going to have about maybe 6 or 7 grams of palladium. Alright, stand by for one of the coolest reactions that you're ever going to see. We're going to transfer our solution now into this clean beaker. I'm going to get a little bit of this blue solution on a piece of filter paper. I want to check and see how this stuff's going to react with stannous. Look at that. Barely any reaction. I'm going to put some hydrochloric acid in a beaker. Just regular old hydrochloric acid. Okay, here we go. We're going to pour the hydrochloric acid into this solution. And what will happen is the solution will re-acidify and we'll see the bright yellow canary salt come out of solution. Here it goes. I'm going to put hydrochloric acid in right now. Well, let's back this off a little bit. It's kind of neat to watch the smoke that it forms. Just slowly pour it in and re-acidify our palladium solution. That smoke, I think, is ammonium chloride. Pouring hydrochloric acid into our palladium salt. It's been dissolved in ammonia to re-acidify the solution and cause the palladium salt, there it comes, see it start to turn yellow, cause that palladium salt to come out of solution. And wait till you see this, man. It is just absolutely beautiful. There it's starting to form. This is one of the coolest reactions in precious metals refining. Unbelievable. Just absolutely beautiful. I added half a liter of hydrochloric acid. That should be enough to do it. We'll pour a little bit more in, make sure we're... Now there's still stuff coming out of solution here. That's looking better. Alright, it's time to get our pure palladium salt out of this solution. I'm going to try to capture this in this filter now. Here we go. Alright, I think I've got enough in here. The filter flask is starting to fill up. Okay, we're gonna empty this flask out. Before I do that though, I'm gonna reach down in here and get a little bit of solution. A piece of filter paper. I'm gonna check this with stannous and see what we got here. Not quite sure. It's not a whole lot of metal in solution. I may have added too much hydrochloric acid and started putting some of the palladium back in solution. Alright, I'm just gonna pour this off now into our stock pot container. And now what we'll do is resume filtering out our precipitate so we can get our palladium. Now we're going to rinse this off with some distilled water, cold distilled water. Here's our palladium salt. And now what we'll do, we're going to get it down here into a fused quartz dish that I have set aside for palladium only. Let's get this salt out of this funnel now. And we're going to get it down into this fused quartz dish. Here's our material. Looks pretty good. I was able to get most of the liquid out of there by using a vacuum filtration. Got it in a fused quartz dish. I'm going to put it up here on the heat now. Start it out on low and just let this calcine now and burn off all the ammonium chloride. Get our palladium. Before I get too far into this, let me take it off the heat. I've got some scissors here. I'm going to try to cut some of this paper off before we get going too far into this. That'll save us from having to burn that up. Alright, let's get this back on the heat now. This has been on for 2 hours, and I've got just a little bit of material left at the top of the stack there. I'm going to try to hit it with a little bit of direct flame from way far back. If you hit it, if you get it too hot, what happens is it boils, and then the material just vaporizes away and you lose metal. So you got to heat it real slow, otherwise you will lose your metal up the stack. All right, I'm heating this to redness now. You gotta watch it or you will lose some material. All right, we're going to go down here and break open this material. And it looks like we are complete. The calcining process is done. I'm going to turn the heat off. We're going to take this down off the heat now and let it cool off. Here's our palladium in the fused quartz dish. Now what we're going to do is transfer it into this melt dish here, carefully. Now we're going to cover it liberally with some borax. This is 20 Mule Team borax, just like you get at the grocery store. Now we bring the flame down real slow and slowly start to melt our palladium. Look at that. Good Lord. Okay, here's our small button of pure palladium. I can see myself in it. It's got a mirror finish. Let's put it up on the scale here and see what we got. 3.4 grams. This button is actually bigger than the platinum button. But I'm looking up here at the periodic table. Palladium has a number of 46. Platinum is 78. So platinum is nearly twice as heavy. That makes sense. But I'm very pleased with this pure palladium button. What we'll do is offer this for sale on my eBay store. This will conclude video number 6 of Stock Pot 3. And this is it for the Stock Pot series for this time around. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. Thanks for watching.